A case of novel ictal phenomena, ictal events characterized by rhythmic infra-slow delta originating from a frontal lobe that propagate to bilateral hemisphere next. This is a single case presentation of paroxysmal recurrent episodes which was characterized by electrographic rhythmic infra-slow discharges in EEG. Next. She is a 46-year-old black woman seen in my advanced epilepsy clinic for a second opinion of recurrent attacks. Next. She described the attack as lightheadedness and internal pressure sensation without headache. She had a vague history of traumatic brain injury, and denied having loss of consciousness, panic attack, episodic depression, aphasia, amnesia associated with the attacks. Next. Symptom typically lasts for 10 to 30 minutes. The patient was fully awake. There was no witnessed convulsion. She was referred to EMU study in out of the state level 4 epilepsy center by her previous neurologist. Next. Then, she was diagnosed as psychogenic seizure because of absence of epileptiform discharges in ictal events in conventional EMU recordings. The patient had neither improvement nor deterioration by discontinuation of anticonvulsants. Next. She kept seeing the primary neurologists thereafter with no improvement. She finally visited us for the second opinion and re-evaluation in EMU using different way. Next. EMU recording was done under the supervision of a board-certified EEG tech service. Next. The patient had repeating episodes of stereotypical events in which she felt internal pressure sensation, intolerable lightheadedness with mild agitation for 30 minutes. The EEG during the ictal events recorded in 10 seconds per page paradigm showed no epileptiform discharges. Next. The ictal recording was printed out in 60 seconds per page slow speed setting in different time constant, 0.1 second, LFF 1.59 Hz, VS 2.0 seconds, LFF, 0.08 Hz. Next. This is the ictal recording of her typical event. Time constant equals 0.1 second. Next. 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 Please pause video to see the EEG closely, and you may repeat again. Next. This is the same EEG-L recording with different TC. Time constant equals 2.0 second. Next. 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 Please pause video to see the EEG closely, and you may repeat again. Next. 60-second per page segment EEG demonstrated evolving rhythmic right frontal infra-slow delta with frequency of 1/8 to half a Hz, and 80 to 120 V in amplitude. Infra-slow delta is defined as delta slowing less than 1 Hz in frequency. Next. In one severe attack, EEG recording demonstrated crescendo progression of infra-slow rhythmic delta slow activity with maximum negativity at FP2 and F8 that propagate to contralateral FP1 and F7 and showed bifrontal synchronization, which is comparable with frontal hypersynchrony. Next. There was suggestive accompaniment of scalp permeating HFO associated with the onset of the infra-slow rhythmic activities seen in scalp recording, as shown right. Next. Her symptom did not respond to migraine prophylaxis medication like beta blocker or tricyclic agents. Depakote and topiramate did not reduce the frequency of the paroxysmal episodes. She finally responded to zonisamide, to which she was tolerated, but improvement was mild. Gabapentin has not been tried. Next. Discussion. This single case demonstrated the following feature of EEG associated with stereotypically reproducible symptom. 1. Recurrent attack associated with rhythmic infra-slow activity of right frontal origin. 2. Sustained infra-slow delta frequency of 1/8 to half a Hz, duration 2 to 8 seconds. 3. These infra-slow delta may slowly propagate and resulted in bilateral synchronization. 4. Scalp permeating HFO seems to occur in onset of infra-slow delta. 5. The clinical symptom is resistant to anticonvulsants. Next. The case was diagnosed as psychogenic seizure in the initial EMU evaluation based on the absence of electrographic seizure pattern in conventional recording. Next. In fact, the infra-slow rhythmic discharges were not discovered by the routine 10-second per page recording paradigm in the recording of our institute. Next. The clinical findings were provocative. Paroxysmal hypersynchrony in EEG is epilepsy by definition. The question is if the reproducing infra-slow delta rhythmic activities were epileptic or not. Next. Moreover, this case demonstrated progressive propagation and bifrontal synchrony in unusually low frequency. Could the mechanism of contralateral propagation and bifrontal synchrony be the same as frontal lobe sharp ictal discharges? Next. Ramp, et al., reprodded infra-slow discharges as ictal onset baseline shift, IOBS, that was seen at the onset of EEG ictal event. It is possible we are not seeing the accompanying HFO. Because the routine 10 seconds per page recording failed to show any type of epileptiform discharges. Next. Scalp permeating HFO suggests GABanergic interneurons to activate rhythmic infra-slow delta. The mechanism of electrical propagation and synchronization of infra-slow delta frequency remains unknown. Next. Bilateral frontal infra-slow activity was reported in absence seizure by Rodin, et al. Emphatic electrical synchrony is less likely conjecture because glial cells has no structural connection to bilateral homotopical distribution. Gap junction involvement is another hypothesis. Next. Unresponsibility to anticonvulsants suggests a novel mechanism causing the infra-slow delta rhythmic discharges. The limitation of the presentation is that this is a single case matter and the EEG recording was not obtained intracranially. Next. Reference. Rodin E., Constantino T., Van Orman G., House P., EEG infra-slow activity in absence and partial seizures, Clin EEG Neurosci January 2008, Vol 39, No. 1, 12-19. Ramp S., Stefan H., Ictal onset baseline shift and infra-slow activity, Journal of Clinical Neurophysiology, August 2012, Vol 29, ISS $291-297. Next. Thank you for watching the presentation.